Yeah. Okay, are you on?
Sorry, I don't speak Vietnamese. Hopefully it's alright. I'm going to talk about internet censorship. But before I do, I want to thank the conference organizers, men who invited me, and everyone I've met so far here made me feel really welcome. And thank you all for coming here.
Thank you.
So my name is Baranowski, and the first thing I want to talk about is that censorship is a worldwide problem. First of all, I'm going to talk about censorship as it relates to Vietnam, and then I'm going to talk about a project I work on, which is designed to get around internet censorship. So, first of all, this map shows all the places, all the countries that exercise censorship in the world. And this is not just internet censorship, but of all news. But there's usually a high correlation between, say, newspaper, print censorship and internet censorship. So the darker red on this map means it's a bad situation. Anything that's red is pretty bad. The tan is noticeable problems. The gray, satisfactory situation. White, good situation. So you can see there's only a handful of white countries. The United States is not even one of the white countries. So, perhaps we need to focus on America as well. But anyhow, as we zoom into Asia, we can see it's a pretty bad situation all around. And Vietnam's on there, and it's in the dark red, very serious situation. So these are some people who, after they voiced their opinions, were thrown in jail. They said stuff about, of all things, democracy, and most of them were, if not all of them, were thrown in jail for a while. I think one of them is out now. So this gets into the idea of publishing versus access to information. So what the authorities tend to do is penalize you for publishing information, but they don't do too much about people who actually just access the information. But as part of my project, if you have access, then you can publish, because usually there's, you can use, if you have access to anywhere in the world on the internet, you can usually go to a website outside of Vietnam, for instance, and publish something on that website, and then if everyone else can get access to that website as well, you've gotten over the publishing problem. Okay, so first, how does censorship work? It's a pretty simple process. So you're a user, say you're in Vietnam, and you're trying to get to, say, VNNnews.com, which is on the block list in, as part of the firewall's block list in Vietnam. So basically, the user types in their web browser, VNNnews.com, the firewall intercepts it. It says, is this site on my list? If it is, then it just sends back, you're not allowed to access this page. Now this is only the most basic form of blocking information. There's another way to do it, which is if you access a page that has a keyword in it, say democracy or something like that, they can block it retroactively after the page is on its way back to you. they can say, oh, this page has the word democracy in it, so we're going to block it. I'm not entirely sure whether Vietnam is using this method, but China definitely is. And so the technology is out there. So the next part is I'm going to talk a little bit about the project which I got involved in 2000, which was to design a system to get around censorship. It started as a group project, which eventually fell apart. But in the beginning, we were basically eager to get something done and get something made, and just to feel like we were accomplishing something. And so what happened is we built a system that was eventually able to be defeated, and now I'm on round 2 of building the system. But first, I'm going to tell you about the easy way to get around the firewall, is that if you know somebody in, say, the United States, and you're in Vietnam, they can set up what's called a proxy for you. And what happens is that the proxy will fetch the web page for you and send it back to you. So you ask to connect to the proxy. The proxy's IP address is not in the censored list, so you're allowed to connect to the proxy. The proxy fetches the page and then sends it back to you. So this works as long as you know somebody in the States or some other free country that allows access to any web pages you want. But the problem is that not everybody knows somebody. If you're in Vietnam, you don't necessarily know anyone in a free country that can do this, and if you do know them, they may not know how to set up something like this. Another problem is that the censors can actually scan the internet for the proxies and put them on their block list. Another problem is that the proxy could go away at some point, and you have no backup plan. If it goes away, you lose all of your access. So, we tried to develop a system to defeat this. And the original idea was a distributed peer-to-peer network. Now, peer-to-peer, we may have heard this term, is normally used in relation to file sharing on the internet. For example, there's a program called Nutella, another one called Kazaa, Morpheus. They're all used to share files and download music and all that sort of thing. And we thought it would be a good idea to use this to get around the firewall. So you basically have a distributed system of proxies. So all these circles with P's in them are proxies. We have the user, we have the firewall in between, and we're trying to get to the internet. This is sort of a simplified diagram, since everyone is actually on the internet, but that's the free internet over there. So what would happen is that